Greetings, beautiful people. We are here with a special edition of your In the Know segment right here at 97.7 The Beat of the Capital. And today, here's a lot you need to know. With a good buddy and good friend, the current Secretary of State, but most importantly right now, a candidate for your Lieutenant Governor. Welcome, Michael.
Great to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So you were the first to announce your candidacy. Why was it so important?
Well, I think for us, we knew what we wanted to do. I had a good piece about it, and the timing is always important in politics. And I felt like this was a great time for us to get out right after the legislature ended their session. We didn't want to, interrupt what they were doing. But then, when you look at the timing factor and what was going on in the state, it was kind of quiet. So it was really cool for us to get out first, but not just because of that. And so the media picked up on it because, again, it was kind of a quiet week.
Yeah.
So we got some great coverage. It worked out great. Our team did a wonderful job scheduling it. And so, again, people knew what I was doing. It was just time to make it official.
Absolutely. I was about to say, it sounds like you've got a great media team working behind you, whoever they do.
Whoever they are, they're really good.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who's Michael Watson?
Yeah, so look, I grew up on the coast. My dad was a pipe fitter. Worked in the Ingalls shipyard. My mom was a bank teller at Pascagoula Mossway Bank, which later was acquired by Hancock Bank on the coast. She left and went to work for a school, Arlington Elementary. And then my dad left the pipe fitting world and got called into the ministry when I was in the second grade. So we left Pascagoula right after my second grade year, went to Baton Rouge for 3 years with my dad in Bible college. Came back and he took a church there and is still at the very same church that he came back to, about to retire. But anyway, long story short, growing up as a PK was a lot of fun for us. It was actually pretty good training for politics down the road. Not that that's what or why it happened, maybe, who knows. But growing up in Pascagoula, just a blue-collar town, hard workers. We love to fish, we love the outdoors. And family was really big, important to us. But I think one of the most important things that I learned through that time was we didn't have a whole lot of money. So we had to make hard decisions from time to time and making sure that we understood, to take care of the necessary things that you've got to face as a family. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those frills don't come along until later. But blue collar, hardworking community. And as a preacher's kid, it's kind of what shaped me.
So tell us why you're running.
Yeah, when you look at Mississippi right now, I think there's a real need for true conservative leadership. And when I look back and kind of how I was brought up as a preacher's kid and watching my dad work as a pastor, it's important to love God and help others. And so I think no matter where I am in my career, if it's private sector, if it's public sector, it's always been about, love God, help others. And so with this opportunity to run for Lieutenant Governor's office, coming from the state Senate, which really helped me learn the procedures, the people, the relationships, how the legislature actually works, working across the hall with our House members, building relationships down the hall with them. That was a really good opportunity for me to really understand the outside looking in, how this thing works. And then you go to the Secretary of State's office, which is an executive position, so basically CEO of a company, and learning how to build a team, how to encourage them, how to make sure that we're got a good vision that we can see forward, and what is it that we're actually trying to do at the Secretary of State's office, and then move the office together forward. Those two kind of experiences culminate into a great opportunity in my mind to be the Lieutenant Governor, because you've seen both sides. You've seen the legislature, you've seen the state agency. Understanding that interaction is really important. And so the Lieutenant Governor's office, clearly, you shape policy for the state, you work on the budget. Most importantly, though, is your ability to build relationships.
Absolutely.
And having a team that understands what is it that Mississippi needs, and how do we handle these hard questions?
Yeah.
And that's really important for us to have the relationships to move the state forward.
So as Lieutenant Governor, what are the issues that are at the top of your mind that you're most interested in working on?
This is going to sound really basic, but I actually do think we've got to get back to the core principles of why government exists. You think about the core functions, roads and bridges, transportation, public safety. Everybody wants a safe community, everybody wants a safe state. You think about it, education, all the things that the government was actually built to perform, to do for people. And I think you've got to understand what are the things that are out there on the edge, the mission creep from other agencies, from different divisions, et cetera, that government shouldn't be doing. And how do you get rid of that and focus on these core principles? So it's kind of a basic understanding of what government exists to do, and how do you deliver the services like public safety. That's a common need for every Mississippian across the state. I want to feel safe. I want to have a good police force, a great fireman. I want to make sure that I'm safe when I'm going to my school to drop my children off. So things like that, where government should actually be doing a really good job. Those are the things we should focus on and get it out of the way of other things that government shouldn't be doing.
Wow, wow. So you mentioned you were in the Senate. For the people who don't know, how long were you in the Senate?
So 3 terms. I was there for 12 years. I got elected when I was 29 years old. And, it was a lot of fun coming into the state Senate. And I remember walking in the first day and just looking around and seeing all these people that I'd read about and seen on, the news, and oh my gosh, now I'm part of this. What do I do? And it's kind of that shock factor for a second, and then you just get that good peace and comfort. Gosh, I'm here for a reason. The Lord's put me here to do good work and to help others. And so it takes some time to understand the process. I remember where the bathrooms are, and we had a really good run there for 12 years of doing good policy. Movements across the state that made Mississippi a better place to live, work, and play.
What do you think will be the greatest difference between being lieutenant governor and really being the Secretary of State?
Yeah, so Secretary of State, I think, the buck stops there. You're the CEO of the organization per se. At the lieutenant governor's office, you got a body of 52 senators, and you got to understand, again, just like we did at the Secretary of State's office when we got elected, we went to all 82 counties to visit with our circuit clerks and our elections commissioners. Why do we do that? Well, elections take a team. You take that same kind of principle and philosophy there over to the lieutenant governor's office. You got 52 senators. It takes a team. No one senator can get anything off that floor without the help of others. And so as you go to the lieutenant governor's office, the first thing you got to think about is, how do we build a team? How do we paint a vision? How do we get on the same page and move forward together? And I think it's going to be a very successful endeavor. We've been already meeting with a lot of state senators. We started setting up dinners this last session. And that was because, look, I know most of these folks because I served with them. The second piece is, though, I want to re-engage to make sure they understand I actually care about you. This isn't a one-way street. This isn't about me. This is about how can I help you as well? How can we help Mississippi be better? So we're excited, man. It's going to be a fun ride.
That's awesome. So what is the most memorable piece of legislation you worked on while in the Senate?
I would love to say a piece that I authored, but I think for the history of Mississippi and our country, the pro-life piece of legislation that we had it on the floor that went on to unlock the hold of Roe v. Wade in our country. I remember people saying, you're wasting time, you're wasting money. And just on the floor in those conversations, to me, it was always, if you can't protect life, then nothing else matters. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. So it was good for us to have that experience where folks doubted us, where they said, hey, you can't do this. And all of a sudden, oh my goodness, we just flipped the world on its head. That was a really cool one. And then others that lasting impacts on our state that you think about. And the experience of, again, having to build a coalition. We all don't think just alike. And I think that's the most important thing in the legislature is, how do you come together for an issue that actually impacts people's lives? And, how do we get away from this political, excitement and knee-jerk reactions and get down to kitchen table
Real politics.
What is happening in my family?
Yeah.
What are the things that I need to really protect my family, to grow, to prosper? And that's one of the things that I think is most important for us, is listening to Mississippians, crafting policy that's going to make their lives better.
So, moving along to an issue that has come up over the last several years, brain drain. What do you think the solutions to solving brain drain?
Well, number one, the younger generation has to know we care. I think that's most important. One of the things that we've done at the Secretary of State's office is our ambassador program. And so we have 75 high school seniors that come in every year. We do 2 in-person summits in Jackson, and we do a monthly Zoom call. And basically it boils down to 3 things. Number one, we teach them about elections. Why should they be engaged? What does it even matter? Why should I care? And then they all do voter registration drives in their high schools. So that's a cool piece. Number 2, we teach them about state government. How does this place even work? If there's something that's important to me, how do I advocate on behalf of it? Where do I start? Mm-hmm. And then number 3, to me, is the most important piece, is a mentorship. I want to get to know these folks, these young leaders that eventually will be running the state of Mississippi. I want to open doors for them, opportunities for them to grow and to prosper and to do great things, and challenge them to come back to Mississippi if they choose to leave, and hopefully stay here. And I think these last couple of classes, we actually seen more of a shift towards folks wanting to stay in Mississippi. I'm not saying that's something that we have done, but I do think when they understand, here's a statewide elected official who's actually spending time listening to me, understanding what's important to me, and then wants to build policy shaped around what I want to see in Mississippi for me to stay here. And that's what matters most, to know that you care and to know that it isn't just politics as usual. It's actually building a relationship and understanding that I want to do things that entice you to stay in Mississippi, because when our best and brightest here, that's when innovation happens. That's when they create these great companies that Mississippi can be proud of down the road and creates jobs, and which is better for our communities, et cetera. So I think that's the key there, is make sure they know that we care, but also opportunity. And it's not just about jobs, it's about quality of life. So what are the things that we are doing to entice them to stay here? Conservation efforts, hunting and fishing, those things that people want to have in their life, not just work, but what can I do outside of work as well? And so we've got to focus on those too.
Wow. So the governor has done a really good job. His team, Bill Cork over there, have done a really good job on pretty good deals coming to the state. What would be a way that you would suggest your solution for making sure everyone really gets an opportunity to take advantage of some of these deals that come into the state?
Well, I think that's a loaded question. There's a lot to that one. I think, countywide, even municipality-wide, I think the key thing for Mississippians across the board, no matter what level of government they're in, speed to market is key. So building communities that can react quickly when you see an RFP out or an RFQ, whatever may be coming down the pike, and understanding how will my community be ready to day one, let's go chase it. And so what is the governance that I need to set? What are the resources that I need to make sure we have in our communities? I think that's the key. When state leaders see you've got an active community on the ground at the county or the city level who is willing to work with you, who is really ready to, hey, let's get dirty, get out there and do the work. That's how you start to spread it around. Now, I've got a little bit of a different kind of look on that. For me, when you see areas like DeSoto, Jackson, Madison, Rankin, et cetera, Jackson County on the coast, Harrison, Hancock, Hattiesburg area, those areas that are growing, I think it's really important to continue to pour the coals to the fire. Why is that? If you look at what's happening in DeSoto right now, you just see growth continuing to spread out. And so if we can get those areas that are literally just tearing it up right now to continue tearing it up, you're going to see that expansion across the state. So if you say, let's say Madison, Hines, and you've got Lafayette, which is doing great things, Tibahaw, et cetera. Well, if you got DeSoto, you got Madison and Hines, and both of them are growing. Eventually, it's going to take some time, but eventually you keep pouring the coals to the fire and they keep spreading, you're going to have opportunities across the state. That said, you got to have some sprinkles here and there too, to maintain that growth. And I think that's where it comes back to our county leadership and our city leadership. Are you ready to work? And have you presented yourself and your communities the opportunities to know, hey, we've got to be ready. Shovel ready, we hear this term all the time. It's not just shovel ready, it's community ready too, because these CEOs are looking for good communities. If you build a good community, that's what entices them to come and locate. So it's not just the state, it's also county and city.
Yeah. So you're well liked, at the county level with the clerks and election commissioners. Why leave being Secretary of State?
I think, again, and this comes after my first year in the state Senate. I was going to speak to a class down in Jackson County and gave a great policy speech. I thought it was fantastic. So the first kid raised his hand. I think we're about to have some good conversation here. He said, how much money you make? He didn't care about policy. The second guy said, you running for president? And I was like, man, look, I just learned where the bathrooms are. But anybody my age, and I was 30 at the time, I just turned 30, anybody my age that says they're not interested in something else is probably lying to you. So what I will say is when there's an opportunity presents itself where I could do more good and I get a piece about it, then I'll take a shot. So I never wanted to be Secretary of State. That was not something that was on my bingo card. But I felt like that was an opportunity, prayed about it, got a piece about it after talking to Governor Bryant and ran. And so same thing here. Look, I could stay here and probably have a pretty easy reelection. But what I think we have done at Secretary of State's office, when you look at the body of work that we've accomplished, it's time for somebody else to take a fresh look at it. We've done a lot of good things that I know when I walk out of that office, no matter if I win or lose lieutenant governor's race, that I left it better than I found it. And I think when you can say that, I think then is when you can say, well, okay, is there something else? So, Lieutenant Governor, I do think that the policy breadth of that office and the relationship building piece that it takes is a great opportunity for us to do some more good for Mississippi. And that's what it's always been for me. How do I do more? What is something that I can find myself to help others move their lives in the right direction? So that's it.
Greatest leadership lesson that you've learned?
There's a lot of them out there. One of the ones that I always remember, we were actually building an addition to the church when I was little. And my dad was a super hard worker. And he was obviously pipe fitter, so he super blue collar guy. But I remember he was the only guy at the church this day. And he was out maybe pulling wire, or I can't remember, we were in the framing portion of the expansion. And a lady that went to the church whose husband never attended church, just didn't, hypocrites, I don't like those folks, showed up for some reason and saw my dad out there working by himself on this expansion piece. And he came to church the next Sunday and never missed again.
Wow.
And so we had a conversation later on, not me with him, but in general, my dad with his family. He said, when I saw the pastor down and dirty doing the hard work, that, he probably could ask somebody else to do it, but he did it himself. Don't ever think you're too good to do the hard work. And that was a big lesson for me. Show people that you're willing to do the same work that you're asking them to do. And when they see that, this guy's one of us. He's a hard worker too. I think it builds the level of leadership that people say, I want to follow somebody like that. So that's one of the big ones I learned from my dad.
Wow. Last question. I think this one will be easy for you. I vote for Michael Watson.
Look, I think if you look at our body of work over the time of the state senate, time of the Secretary of State's office, here's a guy who doesn't just talk, he does the work. Here's a guy who has painted a picture, a vision for wherever he's been in the legislature, the Secretary of State's office, and has built a team to accomplish those goals. Here's a guy that cares about relationships, that cares about Mississippians, not just for the political well-being, but for how do you make their families better. So somebody that actually cares and wants to see good for all. It isn't just a Republican and Democrat, an independent deal. It's all Mississippi. And I think we've got a great opportunity to be even better when you think about the things that we've been able to accomplish these last few years. Mississippi is on such a great trajectory right now that if you get that person in the lieutenant governor's office who can paint that vision to continue that growth and include everyone, Mississippi's not seen its best days yet.
I think that's the perfect place to end. Well, listen, folks, as we always say, if you aren't at the table, then you're on the menu. This is Emanuel Williams with your In the Know segment right here at 97.7, the Beat of the Capital.